Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new limited edition Black History Month Nike Magista Obra. Now, as you guys can see, it does come in a special box. The box is black in color with the BHM Black History Month logo in metallic gold embossed on the top. Here's a quick look at the label for those that might be interested. Pause the video if you want to read it, I suppose. Open up the box, and on the inside they do include a couple of extras. The first is this little piece of paper here. On the other side you can see it does again have the BHM logo. If you want to pause the video and read all of that, you absolutely can. Basically what it's telling you is that the proceeds from the sale of this particular shoe do go to the Nike Ever Higher Fund, which of course is a charitable organization. And then of course they include a string bag. The string bag is black in color with a combination of blue, orange, and lime green in the actual strings. You've got your BHM logo there on the front, along with the Nike swoosh in white, and the back of the bag has the Nike football branding in white as well. Other than that, all you're gonna find inside the box, as you guys can see, are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at the limited edition Black History Month colorway of the Nike Magista Obra. Now, Nike did a Black History Month shoe last year. It was the Superfly 4. I have them. You guys are going to get to see them side by side with these shoes in just a second later in this video. But what we're going to be focusing on here is basically the colorway, the details on this shoe, because it really is different looking in person than what the online pictures really show. So if you're interested in learning more about the technical aspects as well as just the close-up little details on the BHM Superfly, please stick around and watch the entire video. Unfortunately, this was a limited edition release. Definitely not as limited as last year's Superfly. These were available on the Nike football or Nike soccer app, depending on which country you're from, as well as certain retailers did get a limited amount of pairs, whereas the Superfly last year, they were limited to maybe 100 pairs, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. They were extremely hard to come by. Like I said, they made a lot more of these, but it still is by far the most limited edition Magista Obra that Nike has released to the public so far. So if you got a pair, lucky you. If you didn't, unfortunately, they're pretty much sold out everywhere. So there will not be any buy it now links on the review page of my website like there normally is. So again, if you're interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire video. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the colorway. So before we get into the close-up details, I just want to do a side-by-side kind of view of the two Black History Month soccer cleats that we've seen from Nike so far. Last year, we got these guys right here, the Black History Month Superfly, which I think is probably the best of the limited edition Superflies that Nike has released. The pattern, the colors, the graphics, everything just looks absolutely fantastic on this shoe. It really is a good looking boot. But like I said, these were extremely hard to come by, very, very limited. I did not manage to get a pair at the $300 retail price. I think they might have even retailed for a little bit more. I had to buy them from a reseller and paid way too much money. These guys, though, I did manage to get at the $300 retail price, which isn't cheap, but isn't necessarily unreasonable. That's kind of the norm for limited edition shoes from Nike. They tend to have a premium on the price tag. These were no different. But in person, I have to say I'm really, really impressed with the overall detail. So that's the side-by-side look. Now let's get into the close-ups on this particular shoe, because they definitely look different in person than they do in the online stock photos. So you have quite a few different colors and quite a few different patterns happening on this shoe that honestly you don't really notice unless you're close up. So you guys will definitely see it in this video. You have a black base to what looks to be the majority of the upper. Same thing goes for the collar as well as the laces. Same for the sole plate. That's pretty much all black in color, but there's a lot of extra hidden details that, again, you don't see unless you have them up close. So there are three main colors that you're going to find on this shoe underneath that black layer: blue, lime green, as well as orange, and then kind of a different shade of orange, almost like a red color, and it changes on both the lateral and medial side of the shoe. The medial side has a combination of green, orange, and blue, whereas the lateral side has a combination of green, blue, and red, which really does give this shoe a unique look. You can see the difference in color right here going down the sides, and essentially what they've done is the shoe itself actually has a very colorful knitted pattern. So on the one side you have, again, the blue, the green, and the red. The other side you have the blue, the green, and the orange. And then the top layer of Nike skin that's black actually has little cutouts in the form of actual patterns that allow you to see the colors underneath. So you can see there's some zigzags here, there's some zigzags there, there's some dots. There's all kinds of different little patterns that allow you to see the actual Flyknit woven underneath. So it's kind of cool. It has a combination of translucent as well as solid Nike skin in terms of just the overall coloring, which, like I said, gives this shoe a very, very unique look. More so in person than, like I said, in the online pictures. The pictures online really don't do this shoe justice in terms of all the little details that you actually see in person. Another little detail that's not super obvious online is the actual 3M here going along the outside edge. So the outside edge, the top layer of Nike skin, that extra layer, it is solid black in color, but the patterns actually continue in a 3M reflective material, which is really, really cool. So that is a reflective element on this shoe. Same for the Magista branding going up the back of the collar. Obviously on the very back heel, you're going to find the BHM logo there in white and black, which looks really good. You have a little bit of gray accent here at the top of the collar, which I think looks pretty good too. White Nike swoosh with a black outline on either side, white ACC branding as well. And then another little detail in regards to the sole plate that you don't really notice is that the left shoe has green studs on the medial side and the right shoe has orange studs on the medial side. So they are technically slightly different from each other as opposed to just being identical. And again, I like the fact that the color changes depending on what side of the shoe that you're looking at. The insole also is a little bit different. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. The insole, as you guys can see, really cool pattern, kind of consists of the same colors that you find on the shoe with the addition of some purple and yellow. But the patterns really do look good. It says the power of one on both insoles in white. Let me just 100% confirm that. Yep, 100% confirmed. It's basically the same insole that you'd regularly get in an Obra, though. It's a mesh liner on top, and it's just a single layer of this perforated yellow foam. But again, the design and the details, they're all there. It really is a cool limited edition release. And if you did manage to pick a pair up, I'm sure you are happy with the look of them in person. So let me know your thoughts on these down below in the comment section. Do you like how they look? Why or why not? Another question I should ask you guys is whether or not you prefer the Black History Month Magista Obra or the Black History Month Superfly 4. Which was the better colorway in your opinion? As far as tech specs and performance goes, while this is a limited edition release with some extra little details that you wouldn't necessarily see in the regular release colorways, the physical shoe itself is identical to a regular pair of Obras. There's no difference whatsoever. So for the sake of this video, we're gonna go over all of the tech specs that you should know about this shoe if you were planning on picking them up. If you guys are looking for as many details as possible, I would strongly recommend checking out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find a detailed written review of the Obra, and I'll also leave an annotation on screen to my playtest video if you want to see these things in action. So for what you need to know about the Magista Obra, the main reason why I think most people would pick them up is for the Flyknit upper and the mid-cut design, which really does make this shoe feel very unique, unlike pretty much anything else out there at the moment. The only thing that really compares is maybe the Superfly 4, although it does fit and feel quite a bit different when compared to these. So the Flyknit, the parts that are covered in Nike skin, so where you see all the fancy patterns, that is a more structured variation of Flyknit. It's very dense, it's very tightly knit, and you do have the incorporation of brio cables as well within that knitted pattern that run from the base of the sole into the lacing system, as well as internal supports that are fused to the inside of the upper. So all of that structure, when you pull the laces tight, really does make for a very lockdown sensation. The shoe is surprisingly responsive, but because it is still a knitted material at its base, it's soft, it's flexible, and it moves very naturally with your foot. It does have that sock-like sensation once they're well broken in. As far as the rest of the shoe is concerned, the upper that is not covered in Nike skin is an elasticated variety of Flyknit. So you find that in the collar as well as across the top of the foot. So this has some stretch to it and really is just there to kind of stretch around your ankle, stretch around your foot, and then kind of compress back to its original shape, allowing you to put the shoes on and take them off a little bit more easy, as well as to eliminate any kind of restrictiveness. So a lot of people assume this collar is going to provide some kind of ankle support. That is not the case. None of the mid-cut models from Nike provide any ankle support. There's no structure to this. It's really there, one, to provide a unique look, which it does very successfully, and two, to give you a slightly different feel. This changes the way the shoe fits in the heel a little bit, which does take some getting used to, something I'll talk about more a little bit later in the video. And it also makes for the sensation of the shoe kind of flowing onto your foot as opposed to something that's being strapped to your foot, if that makes any sense. The upper itself is covered in Nike skin as well as ACC all conditions control, acting as your wet control element. And the overall touch on the ball that these things provide, they are not overly padded, they're not overly thin, they're kind of right there in the middle. But I guess if I had to say it was thick or thin, it definitely is kind of merging on the thinner side with a little bit of extra padding that you find from the actual liner and the more dense kind of Flyknit construction of the upper. So if you're looking for something that is leather-like, this is definitely not going to provide that type of feel. It really is kind of a unique type of touch on the ball where it's not too thick, it's not too thin, it's kind of right there in the middle, I guess is the best way to describe it. Moving on to the inside of the shoe, you do have an internal synthetic leather liner in the heel area. You guys already got a look at the insole earlier in the video. The heel counter, external, as you guys can see, one piece with the actual sole plate. The sole plate is made from a compressed nylon material, so it does have some decent stiffness to it, but that is something you get used to pretty quickly after a few wears. And as far as the stud pattern is concerned, it's the same stud pattern you're going to find across the entire Magista line. Very similar to what you get from the Tiempo line, or what we've had from the Tiempo line. All conical studs, heel and forefoot, with some bladed support studs running down the middle. But the studs themselves, while they are rounded in shape, which is a more traditional style, they're fairly narrow in profile, so they dig into the ground quite nicely and give you a good amount of bite when pushing off in any direction. So as far as traction is concerned on firm natural grass, you won't have any issues with the Magista Obra. This traction pattern tends to work pretty well. I haven't heard really anybody complain about it, so not something you should be too concerned about if you were planning on picking these up. In terms of weight, the Magista Obra is lighter than you might expect. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to weigh them for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9.5 US. We're going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.3 ounces, the equivalent of 206 grams, which is very lightweight. About 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 ounces more than a pair of Superfly 4s in the exact same size. So if you are trying to decide between the Superfly 4 and the Obra, they're both very light, almost identical. You're not going to notice a weight difference between the two on feet. And overall, if you're just looking for a light shoe and you like what the Magista Obra has on offer from a fit and feel standpoint, like I said, you're not going to have any issues with the weight of this shoe. They definitely do trend towards the lighter side of things as far as high-end soccer cleats go. All right, so here is a look at the Black History Month Obras on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I have a pair of blue and neon yellow grid pattern SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. Find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, if you haven't worn a mid-cut model from Nike before, they will feel a little bit strange. I will say that out of all the mid-cut models, the Obra is probably the most comfortable out of the box, but you definitely will notice some firmness in the heel area just due to how this shoe fits because of its mid-cut design. So as long as you break them in slowly, take things very slow as far as just wearing them until you start to feel discomfort and then taking them off. Don't wear them straight into a game. Don't wear them straight into a free kick session or something like that, because you will get blisters. If you take your time with them and break them in a little bit at a time until you feel comfortable to wear them, a full 90 minutes, 2 hours, you should be good to go. So again, just take your time during the break-in process and you should be able to avoid any kind of significant discomfort or any kind of major blistering or anything like that. As far as the fit is concerned, once they are broken in, the shoe is very comfortable. The upper is flexible, kind of sock-like on your foot in terms of how it fits and how it moves naturally with the bend of your foot. Like I said, it's a comfortable shoe once you get used to how they feel. In terms of width, they're going to be suitable for most foot types, although they don't stretch. You have the Brio cables as well as the knitted material that does have some softness to it. It seems like it moves around when you put them on your foot, but the actual width of the shoe will not change over time. So if they don't fit you properly out of the box, it's not something that's going to change after some wear time. But like I said, they will be suitable for most foot types as long as you don't have excessively wide feet. As far as sizing is concerned, they run about a half size small, so instead of wearing my usual size 9 US, I bumped it up to a 9.5, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going a half size up in order to achieve the best possible fit. Alright guys, that is it for my review of the BHM Magista Obra from Nike. If you guys are interested in seeing some really good pictures of this exact pair that I took myself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. If you have any questions at all regarding this particular shoe, leave those questions down below in the comments, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.